All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly 30-minute workshop. My name is Matt Sykes, a systems engineer here at Variphy, and I'll be your host for today's workshop. Today, we're joined by my good buddy, Brian McKay, another fellow SE over here at Variphy. How you doing today, Brian? Looks like he's muted.
Okay.
There you are.
Sorry. Yeah, it muted me. I just saw the pop up as soon as I opened my mouth to speak here. Sorry about that. I'm
No worries.
doing well, enjoying the nicer weather here. I wore shorts out in public for the first time of the season last night, and it was glorious. So I'm
Fa-
looking forward to more of that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, good weather definitely just kind of perks the attitude, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Okay, all right. All right, everyone. For today's session, Brian's going to walk us through Zoom phone dashboards and call analytic reportings. Okay, so we're going to start off with a quick overview of our company and what we do. We'll jump into a live demo where Brian, once again, is going to walk us through those Zoom analytics. We'll pause for Q&A and get some of your questions answered. So during the demo, if you have any questions, make sure to message them or chat them over to me in the Q&A panel. I'll certainly be checking all panels anyways, but we'll get those questions answered for you towards the end. After Q&A, we will reward one lucky attendee with a $50 Amazon gift card. So hang around and see if you may have won. Okay, Verify is the preferred analytics and management solution for unified communications analytics, providing industry-leading dashboard and call reportings for Unified Communication Manager, Cisco's Contact Center Express, Cisco Cubes, now Zoom Phone, and we also recently released support for the WebEx calling analytics platform within Verify. So those along with a suite of management tools like remote phone control and macros, change management and DID management that are still focused towards call manager as well. But for today's content and session, we're going to be focused on Zoom phone dashboards and reportings. If you have any questions on any of our other features or have interest in taking any of them for a test spin, feel free to go ahead and message me in those chat panels or just simply reach out to your Verify account manager for more information. Okay, one more thing before we kick things off. Verify does offer a managed consulting service where Verify SE's team engage with you on a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, unassisted reporting, dashboarding builds, configurations, and system monitoring resources assistance. This is a service that provides you a dedicated Verify systems engineer to do all the heavy lifting for you and give you kind of a hands-off experience with Verify. For more information, please feel free to contact us and we'll be glad to speak with you more in depth on this service offering. All right, so let's get into the demo. So we're going to go off into the wild here, Brian. See if you can grab control for me. Otherwise, I'll just flip it to you
All
manually.
right. Yeah, let's see. I think you need to stop sharing so I can start sharing. Let me try it again here. Okay, there we go. And you should be seeing my screen with Verify and a bunch of tabs open right about now.
There we go. Yep, loud and clear. Just
Okay.
a couple extra clicks.
Yeah, let me see if I can well, can I drag this thing out of the way? This is going to get in my way. Okay, it kind of minimized itself. Never mind. Sorry, guys. This is my first time using actually Zoom in a webinar. So, yeah. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate everybody stopping by, taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm going to, preface this with the fact that I am no trailblazer as far as Zoom reporting webinars goes. Yeah, Matt has already covered this pretty extensively in some previous ones. In fact, if you look at our webinars page, you'll see the upcoming ones at the top. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that there is a section for Zoom phone reporting analytics, and it's got some webinars in there. Everything you need from how to set it up to how to import report templates, how to create dashboards and reports. And we're going to just kind of review all that today. Again, this is kind of more just like a refresher and I think kind of to bring more awareness to the fact that we are doing Zoom reporting now. It's still a pretty new feature. It's still our first build of it. So, I'm sure over time it will evolve like the rest of our call reporting has. And, we'll be adding more bells and whistles as we go. But yeah, this is definitely a good resource to refer back to on our webinars page. So let's just kind of dive into it here. First thing I did, rather than try to build a bunch of stuff from scratch, because why reinvent the wheel? I went to our templates page, which is on our product download page, and I just downloaded some templates. Now, if you scroll past where we have the actual Verify application downloads, you'll see that there are downloadable template zip files for each platform that we offer reporting for. So I just grabbed the Zoom ones. All it does is download a zip file. with a bunch of templates in it that you can then import into Variphy. So just to show you real quick, I know there's another webinar on this, but it goes in more detail. But basically, all you need to do is just download them, do import, report, browse. I just put everything in my downloads and I extracted everything to this report template folder. So this is the kind of the sampler platter of templates we have included: 911 calls, abandoned missed calls, call queue usage, details by extension or phone number, which that one can be pretty lengthy. There may be other ones that are a little more brief that you might want to refer to, but that if you want to see like all the gory details, that'd be the one I'd use. Device utilization type report. That's pretty interesting. One that shows all the different devices in use, kind of like if you're running a report on all the different, Cisco Jabber clients and hard phone models and things like that. Dormant users can show users that haven't taken or received any calls. So if you want to see if there's any call avoidance going on, or maybe something else is going on with some users, you can run that report. You can do organizational summaries by department and site, by call location, etc. So we'll show you some of these reports and how to build them. Like I said, I just basically imported the templates and then I made some changes. But that's all you really have to do to and if you're just looking for some reports to play around with, you don't really know much about it, this is definitely a great place to start. So just import those. And then these are all from templates, except for these busy hour ones. Those are actually leftovers from a previous webinar I did, but I left them in there. But yeah, these were all from templates. And then I left a few as is because I didn't really use them, but these ones I just kind of modified and changed things up a little bit in here. So really didn't have to change up much. All I really did was, because I just wanted to focus specifically on the Zoom traffic, is I think it, oh, well, I love when that happens. Hold on a second. Okay. Well, this is the joy of doing it live, right? Let me refresh. That happened earlier and then it went away after a minute. Let me try this again. And I'm doing this through a VPN, so I'm not sure if this is possibly VPN related. Let me see here. Okay, let's go back to reports. And let's go look at, okay, we need to get into the Zoom cluster. All right, let's try this again. Knock on wood. Let me just pull up, dormant users. Okay, now I think it's working. There we go. So all I really changed on most of these was, I changed it to call number starts with +1 because that's what all our Zoom devices start with in the lab data. But so that filters out like other types of calls possibly. Hey, can you still hear me? I just heard mute on in my headset for some reason.
Loud and clear.
Okay, just making sure. I hate when I'm talking to myself for 5 minutes. Okay, so yeah, basically, I'll just kind of show you some of these reports. Let's start with, I just ran some of these previously just to save time, but this is a nice one. I like this feature. You can do a grouping by the traffic type. So basically, whether it's inbound, internal, or outbound, this is something nice because it just kind of does it automatically. Where if we were going to show this kind of view with like, for example, call manager reporting, we'd have to build a few different search sets to capture the traffic from each direction, where this just kind of does it automatically. So let's take a look at that one, for example. Let's see, that is the let's see, collocation site, blah, blah, blah. Actually, it's a template. That's right. It was one of the templates. I think it's total call volume by duration. Yeah, here we go. I actually ran that from another one that I'd modified, but this will do the same thing. Yeah, so basically, all it's really doing is just putting a grouping statistic of direction, which will show, which direction the call is going in, obviously. So you'll notice right off the bat, if you've been using Call Manager for a while, we don't really have as many configurable columns and search criteria and grouping criteria And that's just because Zoom doesn't really have as many as the Cisco stuff does, which is kind of nice in a way. It's a little less daunting to work with. I think it's probably more approachable for non-technical people who might be using these reports as well. So that's kind of a plus in some ways. So basically, yeah, a lot of the options are going to be the same as in your, the CUCM reports if you're used to working with that. You'll see a lot of the same types of options. You'll even see we still use, even though Zoom uses calling and caller and called, in certain things like the scenario, the grouping summaries here, we'll use things like originating and terminating, which are kind of Cisco holdovers, but they basically mean the same thing. There's a lot of terms that basically are a little different, but they mean the same thing. So once you get used to that, it's really not that hard to navigate and figure this stuff out. So let's go back to, the search set's very simple. All I'm doing is looking at traffic to or from, caller or called, basically Zoom extensions. And then we're going to group it by direction. We don't really need to do any additional grouping beyond that. We don't need any grouping search sets, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty straightforward. And then we don't need any call history details, so we'll turn that off. Obviously, if we wanted to turn that on, these are the details you can add to Zoom reports. Like I said, it's not nearly as many as we see in the almost in Microsoft, sorry, in the Cisco stuff. But all the greatest hits that you need are in here for sure. So yeah, besides doing it by the path, you can also basically do it by location, by site, by department, by a bunch of different things. You can kind of do similar things in Call Manager as well, but it just does it a little differently and I think a little bit more cleaner in this one. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Let's take a look at that one. I don't think there's really much else in that particular report. It'll break down again, the connected versus not connected answered abandoned voicemail. If you select to put all this stuff in here, it'll give you a call scenario by date, this nice little bar graph, which I like these. So, it's just kind of a good at a glance thing. And then this is kind of, you can kind of have a widget that will kind of break things down in a similar way. If you do a widget with call volume by time, you can do that. And you can use these reports to build widgets off of, which I'll get to in a minute as well. So let's move on to another reporting type, which is organizational summary by site. So this is just organizations by different office sites, basically. And it's going to give you a call breakdown of how many calls per site. Also originating versus terminating, which is, caller or called in Zoom nomenclature, bounding counts, voicemail counts, total average call duration, and ring duration. And again, this is going to kind of just break it down site by site. And you can also do site by user, site and user, which we'll show you in a minute. And there's your bar graphs there with your breakdown for each site. That'll just kind of show what the busy times and dates are. And you can change these charts up to do it, by not just by date, but day of the week or hour of the day, etc. There's different ways you can spin the data depending on what you want to see. So this one, just to show you how this one works, this was organization summary by site. Let's take a look at that one. Then I had a couple different ones here. I think I just did summary by site. Here we go. And so really all this one's doing, just using the same basic search set. I didn't really change up the search sets or make anything more complex in the initial search set. So this is all being handled by how it's being grouped, which in this case, we would select caller or called site, and that's gonna group the calls accordingly with that. We don't really need to do anything too much more. It's pretty straightforward. I don't think we need to create a grouping search set because we don't need to refine the results any more additionally, really. It's pretty straightforward. And then here's where you would adjust those columns. If you want to see total calls, abandoned calls, you can add transfer calls, forwarded calls, et cetera, et cetera. So that one also pretty straightforward, but nice to have. Nice to be able to get that departmental view. So taking that a step further, if we want to show department and user counts. We can do that. This one is by department. So this one gives you a nice little breakdown, first by the department with the total calls, and then the individual calls for each user in that department. So don't look too closely at this data. There might be some interesting little gaps. Obviously, this is lab data, so it's not really going to be, a reflection of your live environment necessarily. But again, this is really handy to have. And if you want to see, basically who your top performers are per site, you can see that. Or if who's taking the least calls. In fact, there's a report to show dormant users that aren't taking receiving any calls, either because they're not with the company anymore, maybe, and need to be cleaned out of the system, or possibly they're doing call avoidance. It could be a range of reasons why a caller is dormant. So let's see. Let's take a look at the next one if I can get to it. Okay, so this is the call queue usage. This basically tracks how many calls were queued, how long they were in the queue, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, oddly enough, some queues have if everything's queued, other queues queues don't have anything queued. And that could just depend on how the calls are getting routed, basically. But yeah, this can break down your total call duration, queue duration, answered count and percentage, abandoned count and percentage, and voicemail count and percentage. And then it'll break it down by the this was by department. So it'll break it down by department here under total call count, queue call count, and queue call average duration. And then there's your date by date charts as well. Now, obviously, these charts look kind of sporadic. You're going to see a lot higher volumes in your organization in a live environment. This isn't really a live environment per se. So yeah, that's why you can kind of see it looks a little sparse in places, but that's totally fine. The main thing is that the grouping is working as intended. So let's move on to the next one. Let me see if I can move this bar because it's kind of blocking me, or maybe I can just minimize this a little. Sorry, guys. The Zoom bar is in my face a little bit here. Okay, let me go back up. There we go. That's more manageable. Okay, so here's the dormant users, the one I was talking about. So this will show dormant users by department. It will show total number of calls per department, and then any users that are getting 0 calls will show up underneath that department. So that's pretty handy. As well, like I said, there could be a variety of reasons why someone is dormant in the system, and this will kind of help you track these users down and see, okay, are they no longer with the company? Have they left? Do they need to be removed from the system, or should they be taking calls and they're not for some reason? What's going on, basically? So this will kind of help you start that investigation if you need to track these folks down. Let's take a look at that one, dormant users by department. Just so you see how the grouping is. So in the grouping statistics, we're doing it by caller or call department, secondary grouping type, and this is where this comes into play. This is important for this one. Caller or call party name, and then we're sorting by first name, last name. And then what you also have to do is add under the secondary grouping filtering here a maximum grouping total call count of 0. That means that it's only going to show users with 0 calls, because normally users with 0 calls won't even show up in the report. If they don't get any calls, they just won't show up. But this will help us narrow down to ones that aren't getting any calls by specifying that maximum of 0. It's saying, okay, even if they have 0 calls, we want their names to show up in the report. In this case, it's only it's only the ones with 0 calls that we want showing up. So, and then here's a grouping search set that just has all the different departments in it. Yeah, I think you do need that for this particular type, just so it can organize these departments and then group the users underneath that. Okay, so let us continue on. Let's see, which one did I leave off on? This one was dormant users by department. Okay, so this is another one I like. This is device type utilization. So this is going to give you a breakdown of all the calls by device type. course, other. Not sure what those are. You probably have to look at the call details on these specific ones to figure out why it's just showing other. But yeah, in most cases, it's going to give you a specific device type, and then it's going to also give you the breakdown in here with the graphs. For this one, let's take a look at that one. Get out of this guy. So device type is, let's see, device type utilization. There we go. So in this one, in the grouping statistics, all we did is do caller or call device type. And you can do it one way or the other. Like if you don't want inbound and outbound on the same report, you can do it by caller device type or call device type, caller being outbound, call being inbound, basically. You can definitely split it out that way if you want. Sometimes it's a little cleaner to split things out in the both directions. But I think in this case, as we want to see everything, and yeah, this is optimal. Secondary grouping type, yeah, you can do it by called number or party name. I think it's probably for this type, it's probably going to be a little redundant. Like it basically show all the users using that device type underneath. That could probably be a pretty long summary. So I think we could probably skip that one. Yeah. And then, so since it's doing a kind of a grouping top end count here is what we call it. You can set a limit to how many results you want displayed. So I think you can set up to 50 down here. But usually, I think there's only about 15 or maybe 20 different device types. So that's all you need for this one. Let's see. So that's just kind of the basics on the report. So there's some other templates I didn't really play around with that much. Like there's abandoned missed calls. Well, we kind of saw abandoned stats in some of the other reports. This is more of like a specific one for abandoned calls. And really that's just going to look for calls where the caller hung up, before it could get connected to anybody. That's the typical definition of an abandoned call. That we already looked at this one, the call volume direction. 911 calls, it's just going to look for 911 calls made from Zoom devices. In this case, based on this search set. I ran this and didn't find anything in our lab data, but that's not terribly surprising, so I'm not really concerned about that. But yeah, this is basically, and then if you have different ways to reach 911, like some organizations use 9911, 7911, plus 911, you would basically want to add those in here as well. Any particular way you can reach 911, you want to have it created in the report. And then if you want to track it from specifically Zoom extensions, you would use a modifier like this. Otherwise, if you just want to track all calls, generally across your organization, you're not going to need a caller number. You just need anything that dials 911. And that's pretty much it. And then I think it groups it by the caller number so you can see who made the call. So if we had any results, it would basically give a list of all the callers who called 911. And that's pretty much it for the reports. I know we're getting short on time, so really quickly, but it'll show you some dashboards and widgets. I'll show you mine first before I wow you with Matt's. Matt was kind enough to let me borrow one of his dashboards for this that he used in a previous one. I'll show you that in a minute because that's like Jedi mastery level dashboard building. I'm a simple man. I build simple dashboards. So we'll just start with mine. But the thing about these dashboards is I created all of these from the existing reports. So if you want to create a dashboard, let me just pick this one. Oh, wait, actually, this one wasn't because this was the busy hours one from a previous one. Let me do this one instead. That's a better one. Okay. So basically, you can build all these from scratch. You can put in all the search criteria manually. That's fine. But honestly, if it's worth building for a widget, it's probably worth building for a report too. And I would build a report first. That way you have that in a report and it's there anytime you need it. If you need to start scheduling it and sending it to people for whatever reason, you can do that. But then you can also do this, where you just do existing Zoom phone report and you just pick the report from the report list that we were just looking at. And it's basically just going to take all the search criteria from that report and put it in here. Now, you will have to change a few things, like for this one, for example, we're doing call distribution by site. I think it defaulted to the first thing in the list for the primary grouping type. Like it picks up the search criteria, but it doesn't necessarily pick up the grouping types from that report. So you will have to come in and kind of manually change this to match that other one. But that's really all you should need to do. And then you just need to add like something to the statistic types column, and just total call count is fine. And that's all you need to do. Or if you want to build it manually, you just click on this widget and it will just give you all the options. To build these reports, to build a fresh widget, you just do new widget. You're going to do call analytics. So application is just for the little announcement widget. 99% of what you're going to do is call analytics. Select platform so you can see all the platforms are available. We're going to go to Zoom calling, which is what we've been using. And you can pick different types, like you can do call distribution, for example, which is going to give you this type of menu here in the background. I'll show you in a second here. But basically, you go pick your search set from your Zoom report. Let's see, let's see, which one did I use? I think I use organizational summary by site or possibly department, doesn't really matter. But then you pick your time period here. You can do anywhere from previous hour to previous quarter. I think I'm using current month on all of these. But yeah, you have quite a few options as far as what time interval you want the widgets to look back. And then widget info is just if you want to put in some information about the widget, like if you want to share this out on a permalink and people want to be able to get the info on what the widget is showing, you can put a more detailed description in here. But yeah, all these widgets were built with the existing reports, which is the easier way to do it, in my opinion. Like I said, if it's worth building for a widget, it's worth building the report too. So build the report first, though, because you can build a widget based on a report, but you can't build a report based on a widget, at least not yet. So that would be my advice to you. So just to show you really quick, the widgets I created out of those reports we just looked at. So Zoom busy hours by hour of the day, that's from the previous one. This little 3-hour gap in the afternoon always cracks me up. It makes me think everybody in the company took a long 3-hour lunch and just said screw it and went on for 3 hours. Call distribution by site. So this is going to give you the breakdown of calls by each site. It's going to give you the legend up here, and then you can hover over each slice of the pie to see how many calls they had. This one's more of a list, summary by department. So it's just going to give you, and you could do this department in the same view as the site if you want, but I just thought I'd do a different list just to show you the different views. So this just gives a simple text list with the department and the call counts. Device utilization. So this is the breakdown by all the device types in use, and it'll give you a breakdown of the how many calls for each device type. And then this is the call volume by direction right here, where it shows inbound, internal versus outbound calls. And this is, I don't think we looked at this in reports, but basically you can add this to any report, but it's just a capacity utilization. It just shows how many concurrent calls you had on which date. So you can see at your peak, on 5/17, you had about 11 concurrent calls happening at the same time between 10:09 and 11 o'clock a.m. basically. So that just kind of gives you an idea what your peak call usage hours and times are. That's pretty much all I have. Do we have any questions?
Fantastic job, Brian, as always.
Yeah, you did it first, so thank you for the inspiration.
I'll lay it out for everyone right now. I haven't seen any questions come through on either the Q&A or the chat panels. So
Okay.
everyone, if you have any questions or concerns with Brian's content in the session today, go ahead and feel free to go ahead and chat those over now, and we will answer them momentarily.
All right. One other thing I forgot to show off your fancy dashboard. I screwed up the view.
Zoom out a hair, no pun intended.
I had done this earlier, but apparently it didn't.
I've got a lot of stuff baked in there.
Yeah, you do. You got like I said, you got the Jedi Master dashboards here. But one other thing that's nice about our product is you can stack multiple widgets from different platforms into the same dashboard. So you can see he's got CUCM, UCCX, SIP, and Zoom all, and you're going to have to squeeze a little more for WebEx now on the right column there. but he's got all these in one view. I mean, that's an impressive dashboard. I mean, everything you need, you can set up at a glance, as far as capacity utilization, call volume, top site breakdown, 911 calls, etc. Lots of stuff you can do, but yeah, you can stack multiple widget types from multiple platforms into a single dashboard view, which just makes it a lot more convenient, where you're not having to flip for it to a different dashboard for each platform, basically. So nice job, as usual.
Thank you. All right. Still no questions, so I guess I will grab the screen sharing back and we shall progress.
All right, I'll go ahead and stop.
Let's see if this is doing it for me properly. Okay, so.
Yep, I got you.
Oh, rock and roll. All right, last minute. I'm going once, going twice. And any questions for anyone? All right, if not, we will mosey on. So, okay, all right. Well, yep, great job. So I suppose the moment we've all been waiting for. So, and the winner of this week's workshop gift card is, drum roll, please. Kevin Thomas. Woo! Congratulations, Kevin. Your account manager will be reaching out to you shortly to get you paid.
Congrats.
Okay, thank you all. And do not forget to join us next week where Mike and John will show us how to build call manager rate tables within Variphy. So go ahead and feel free to go ahead and register for that. And we will see you next week. So thank you all for taking time out of your day to join us once again, and enjoy the rest of your week all. Thank you and take care.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.